Hey guys, Jackie here. Today I'm going to be reviewing the first 31 cards from the mean streets of Gadgetzan. A lot of them look really strong already. I'm already really hyped for it. Like a lot of these cards look like could be very powerful. Like every single priest card looks insane, and yeah, there's some really cool cards. So let's have a look at them. So I'll start with Mark of the Lotus. 1 mana, give your minions +1/+1. It's a druid card. I think this card is absolutely insane. Like, I think this card is like crazy powerful. Like, you already have Power of the Wild, which you're 90% of the time using for the +1/+1 rather than the Panther. Like, this combined with Violet Teacher or in some form of aggressive druid list would be really, really powerful. Things like Violet Teacher combos where you do like Violet Teacher, Living Roots into Power of the Wild. Like, you have to wait until you have 7 mana. Now you can do exactly the same thing just at 6 mana with Teacher, Living Roots, Mark of the Lotus. I think this card's crazy. Like, obviously, it's not the same as Power, whereas like you can't use it with Fandral. You don't have the option of summoning a Panther, so it is more restricted to a purely token deck rather than a kind of more mid-rangey list. But in a token deck, this is insane. Like, it's just insane. Like, you would happily play four Power of the Wilds in a token druid deck. So having 2 Power of the Wilds and 2 Power of the Wilds that are 1 mana cheaper is fantastic. So yeah, I'm really excited about this card. Might even like make me play stuff like Force of Nature and more tokeny based stuff, like heavy token based cards, like maybe even 2 Soul the Forest. But this card's insane. Okay. Next card, Lotus Agents. 5 mana, 5/3. Battlecry, discover a druid, rogue, or shaman card. Now, initially, like, when I first saw this card, I was like, okay, I'll compare this to Ethereal Conjurer, the 5 mana, 6/3 mage card that's discover a spell. Initially, it looks pretty bad, but I don't yet know how powerful the kind of mechanic of finding a card from another class. So, like, one thing that Rogue struggles with is like heal or like defensive tools. So you can play it in Rogue, and then there's loads of good defensive cards in Druid, loads of good taunts, heals. So if it was going to be played, I think it would be in some kind of maybe like a Rogue control style deck where there's not many good heal or taunt in Rogue, but you can find something from Druid or Shaman that can really help you out. But yeah, initially it looks like more of a fun card rather than actually being something that's going to be extremely powerful. Yeah. Like, the Discover cards are always slightly better than they look. But I can't see this card being, like, insane. Fun, but like not amazing. Okay. Pilfered Power. 3 mana, druid card. Gain an empty mana crystal for each friendly minion. Okay. I mean, when I first looked at this, I was like, okay, would you play a 3 mana wild growth? The answer is probably yes. Druid doesn't really have much to do on... With the current lists, don't have much to do on 3 mana. The issue is having a minion on board. If you have nothing on board, like you play Wild Growth turn 2, this is just going to be sitting in your hand useless. It almost feels like you almost don't want to play this and Wild Growth together, because this Pilfered Power is going to be heavily reliant on a deck that has board control and puts a lot of minions on the board, but not even like Token Druid, because Token Druid at the moment, you still want to ramp up first few turns. Like, you're not getting the board from turn 1. You're like kind of like playing Wild Growth and Wrath, and then when you have like 4 mana doing stuff with like Maya Keeper and Fangel and stuff. So this card wouldn't even be played in a deck like that, because on turn, like, ideally you want to be playing this on turn 3 or turn 4 or something like that, but I think it's much more likely to be played in a deck with like Darnassus, like an aggressive minion based druid list. Because like Darnassus is ramp, but in an aggressive form, where even if you only get the ramp for one turn and get one 4 mana minion out when you should only be having 3 mana, like that's really powerful in an aggressive deck. So like I can imagine situations where you like play Darnassus turn 2 and then turn 3 you do Living Roots and Pilfered Power and then you get 3 mana, which is like 3 extra mana, which is actually ridiculous. So this card does have like really high potential, but it's gonna have to be in a very kind of specific list that is very minion based. Because in any of the current lists, if you don't have Innovate, you're just not going to get value out of this card. But yeah, this card definitely has potential. For sure. Lunar Visions. 5 mana, draw 2 cards. Minions drawn cost 2 less. Okay. So, Nourish is 3 mana, draw 3 cards. 5 mana, sorry, but it's draw 3 cards. And Nourish is a good card. Nourish is a great card. Great for refilling your hand at the moment. The thing with Lunar Visions is that it's this thing about the current druid lists. Like, a lot of the current druid lists run a lot of spells. So, you're a lot more likely to... In like a ramp druid, though, I think this could be really good. In a ramp druid where you've got lots of big minions, I think this could be really powerful. Like, we're playing Ancient of Wars and Dark Arakoas, etc, etc. I just think this card could be really good in a ramp druid list. Like, would you play this over Nourish? It's hard, because, like, Nourish has interaction with Fangel as well. Like, my initial thinking is that you wouldn't play this over Nourish in a lot of decks. But if your deck is just full of minions, and it can just allow you to have, like, nice like, you play, like, a 6 mana Rag, you can, like, I think it's good. I think the card is good. But you're going to have to be playing a lot of minions for it to be worth it. So there aren't any of the current, like, none of the current druid lists, I don't think it would fit in. But yeah, definitely a cool card. Also can reduce things like Fandral, to make comboing Fandral with other things a lot easier. Like having a 2 mana Fandral makes it a lot easier to combo with the cards. So it could also be interesting in decks where you have lots of cards that combo with each other. But yeah, nice card. Kuhn the Forgotten King. 10 mana, 7/7. Choose one, gain 10 armor, or refresh your mana crystals. So I saw a lot of people instantly being like, oh, 0 mana 7/7 PogChamp. This is insane, kind of thing. But I don't think the card is that insane. I think I can imagine this card being used for the 10 armor significantly more than for the mana crystals. So is a 10 mana 7/7 that gains 10 armor good and worth playing? It probably is. I think only just though, like, because Druid already has lots of like good healing options with like Feral Rage, Moonglade Portal. You've already got loads of big minions with like Ancient of Wars and Dark Arakoas and like Druid of the Claws and stuff. Like you take Aviana for example. Like Aviana, you get the 5/5 and then you can combo it with loads of other stuff, but it's just too situational and too greedy. The fact that you can use this for 10 armor makes it more likely to see play than Aviana, I think. But I think it will. I think the majority of the time you're going to be using it for the armor, not the mana crystals. Obviously, a free 7/7 is good, but on turn 10, it's not that big a deal anyway, because on turn 10 you could be doing things like Yogg, or killing people with Malygos, N'Zoth, Cthulhu. Like, there's loads of highly impactful 10 mana cards. This is not like the biggest impact 10 mana card. Like, just a free 7/7, it's not like... Yeah, it's not like that insane, like, on 10 mana, when you have loads of other things you can do in Druid, so... Yes, I think it will see play, because of the 10 armor. not because of the free mana. Yeah, because I don't think it will be used for the armor a lot more than the mana, which I think it's not bad. Like, gaining armor is never bad. Well, I mean, it's good. It's good. But, yeah. Cool card. We'll see play, but I don't think it's as amazing as I've heard a lot of people saying it is. Okay. Piranha Launcher. 5 mana hunter weapon. 2 attack, 4 durability. Whenever your hero attacks, summon a 1/1 Piranha. So, you see this card initially and you're like, this is never going to get played in Hunter. Never in a million years. It's like the slowest thing in the world. But actually, like, the value you get out of it is not terrible. In the long run, you get 8 attack and 4 1/1s. Which for 5 mana, is powerful. Like, in the long run, it's like you're getting a really good effect. But it's so slow. Like, I don't think Control Hunter is going to be an archetype. And if Control Hunter was an archetype, maybe this would be a consideration. But in any of the aggressive Hunter lists, it's just not. It's just nowhere near. Like, it's just completely different to anything Hunter is trying to do at the moment. I mean, being able to summon these 1/1 beasts at free will, where like you attack and then you get a Piranha, so you can activate Houndmaster, you can activate Kill Command. I mean, it even works with Starving Buzzard. You play Starving Buzzard, attack with a weapon, summon a Piranha, draw a card. But it's just too slow. Like, it's just too slow. Unless there was a lot of new Control Hunter cards, yeah, this won't be that great. I mean, one thing to note is that Hunter doesn't have many good cards in the 5 slot at the moment. Like, I think Huhuran is really, really strong. But people play Tundra Rhino, which is okay. Sometimes Tundra Rhino is really good, but sometimes it's pretty bad. A lot of people play Stranglethorn Tiger, which is solid. Yeah, but I mean, they're all just better than Piranha Launcher in aggressive Hunter decks. This would only see play in some kind of slow nonsense. Which I'll definitely try out. I'll definitely try it out, but yeah, it won't be in any of the aggressive Hunter decks, that's for sure. Grime Street Informant. So similar to the other multi-class card. So 2 mana 1/1, Battlecry, discover a Hunter, Paladin, or Warrior card. So, I mean, having Tyrion in Control Warrior sounds pretty insane. Having Fiery Orcs in Hunter also sounds pretty insane. But I was initially... I could compare this card to, like, Scarab, where it's a 2 mana 1/1, discover a 3 mana card. In Shaman, Scarab's really good. In Hunter, Scarab is also really good. Because Shaman and Scarab both have really powerful 3-drops. And like a range of 3-drops as well. But you never see Scarab in Hunter because Control or slow Hunter decks just aren't a thing. It's not good enough. And... like, where... the only... I could see this possibly seeing playing Paladin. But, I don't know, like a mid-range Paladin deck? Like, maybe like a mid-range Paladin, but... with Bran? But really, it's a weird one. Like, the only time you're going to see this playing Hunter is in a slow Control Hunter deck. Which could be possible. Like, in a Control Hunter deck, this could actually be really good, because there's loads of good Paladin cards for a Control deck, there's loads of good Warrior cards for a Control deck. I think Paladin would be the most likely to see it play, though. I don't know why, though. It's really hard to judge how these like multi-class cards are gonna be. Grime Street Informant. Why would you ever want to play this in a Control... like, I don't think you'd ever want to play this in a Control Warrior deck, right? Control Warrior has all the tools it needs. In a deck with Bran, like some kind of value deck with Bran, this could be really good, though. You could get 2 Tyrions, like, but yeah, I think this one's hard to call. I'm not sure yet how I feel about it. Initially, I can't... There's nothing it would fit into currently, but maybe some kind of... Yeah, mid-range Paladin might be something it could work in. Kazakus. This card is, like, insane. 4 mana, 3/3. Battlecry, if your deck has no duplicates, create a custom spell. This card is insane. Insane! Like, not only is it... The options you have with this are crazy. Like, is there a... There's a video here. Mute that. So you can get a 1 mana spell, 5 mana spell, 10 mana spell. Deal 6 damage to all minions, draw 3 cards, or copy 3 cards from your opponent's deck and put them into your hand. Gain 10 armor, summon 3 friendly minions that died this game, and transform all minions in 1/1 sheep. So this is insane. Like, if you're in a... Say you're in a really bad spot, you're really behind on the board, you can instantly do... Well, it'd be 10 mana, but you can do 6 damage to all minions and gain 10 armor, which is an insane swing. Summon 3 minions, so you have... Like, just the flexibility of this card is insane. And the fact that it's not only restricted... Like, Refram, for example. Like, you're restricted to 10 mana. You have to play Refram on 9 mana, and then play the spell on 10 mana. Whereas, a 4 mana 3/3, like, it's obviously weak, but in a control deck... I mean, in a Reno deck, that's fine. Like, in a Reno deck, that's actually fine. And... just the flexibility and the decision-making. Like, the decision-making in this card is really good. Like, everyone loves Discover because it involves making a kind of decision based on your current situation or based on how you think the game is going to turn out. Which this card is all about. Like, you could think, oh, okay, I need something immediately, or, okay, I don't need something immediately, but in 6 turns' time, when it's going to be turn 10, what kind of position am I going to be in based on my current hand and the current board state, etc.? What position am I going to be in, and what card would, which 2 option would best suit my situation? Like, am I going to need to create more minions? Am I going to need to draw cards? Am I going to need to gain armor? Am I going to need to clear the board? Like, the decision making in this card is really, really good. So, this is a very exciting card. Really, really exciting card. Yeah. This card is great. And strong as well. Strong as well. Okay. Mage. 3 mana 3/4. Monix Soulcaster. Battlecry. Choose a friendly minion. Shuffle a copy into your deck. This card, I mean, the stat line is decent. 3 mana 3/4 is good stats. But for this to work, you're probably going to have to play some kind of control mage. Control mage or fatigue mage, something like that. Like, would you play this in Tempo Mage? It's a weird one, because, like... It might actually not be the worst thing in the world. Like, if you could put an extra Flame Waker in your deck, or an extra Cult Sorcerer, in a deck that has lots of card draw, it's probably not that bad. But I think this is way more likely to see play in some kind of Control Mage, which I would love to see being a thing. Maybe put an extra Oracle in your deck. It's also putting an extra card in your deck so you're more likely to... Like, when it gets to Fatigue, you have an extra card in your deck. So a Control Mage is... Like, this card would perfectly suit a Control Mage. I mean, it could be one of those situations where, like, say you have, like, Medivh's Valet, you don't really want to play it on turn 2 because you don't have a secret, but you play it anyway because you have your Monix Soulcaster, so you play the Valet, and then you Soulcaster the Valet, so you get the 2/3, but then you get another Valet back in your deck for later in the game when you do have a secret up. So I think that would be the kind of deck that it would most fit. Some kind of Control Mage with Valet and maybe even Bran. Like, Bran in Mage is really not that bad at the moment. Like, Bran works with Valet, Bran works with Babbling Book, Bran works with Conjurer, not that you'd play it, because it is a bit too slow. Also works with Avian Watcher, which you could potentially play in Control Mage. And also this. Also this. So... This would fit in a Control Mage. I like it. It's a good card. It's a good card, that's for sure. But realistically, how often are you actually going to get value out of the Battlecry? Like, if you don't have a lot of cards in your deck, you're probably not going to draw the minion that you've put in your deck that often. So, it is I think it would only see play in certain decks where you either have a lot of card draw or it is specifically a control deck where you want the game to go long. Because if you don't have card draw and you're not expecting the game to go long, there's no point playing this card because you're not expecting to draw the minion anytime soon. So it's essentially just a 3-mana 3/4. Good in specific archetypes of mage for sure. Cabal Courier, 3-mana 2/2. Battlecry, discover a mage, priest, or warlock card. So, the thing about Mage, Priest, and Warlock is that you could argue that they have the 3 best AoEs, especially with the new 6-mana Priest spell. Warlock has Twisted Nether, Doom, Shadow Flame, Hellfire. Mage has Blizzard, Flame Strike. So what are you going to be looking for? Like, if you're playing this in Mage, what are you looking for? You're probably looking for, like, healing cards from Priest, maybe, because there's not that much good heal in Mage. Would you play it, though? Like, in a control Mage, like, you'd much rather play the 3/4, right? That puts another minion in your deck. Yeah, the multi-class... Like, all 3 of these multi-class cards, I feel like they look fairly weak. But I do kind of feel like I'm underestimating them. But there's nothing... I can't see it being played, but I'm probably underestimating them. Like, you consider it a Dark Peddler. Dark Peddler's a 2-mana 2/2. Discovers your random 1-cost spell. Obviously, you know you're going to get some weak card... 1-cost card, sorry. So you know you're going to get 1-mana card, so... You're not going to get anything game-changing. I mean, sometimes Soulfire Mortal Coil can be game-changing. Or PO, but you know what I mean. Being able to discover any card from any of these 3 classes, it's probably worth the 1 extra mana. Like, it's like without doubt this would be in a control deck, not an aggressive deck. Like you're not gonna play this in an aggressive deck, but in maybe like a Reno Lock, you'd probably play this card. I think you'd play this card in Reno Lock. There's lots of good mage and priest cards you'd like to find. One thing Reno Lock's lacking is heal, so you can find some good healing cards with priest. Yeah. Okay, Paladin. Wicker Flame Burn Bristle. 3-mana 2/2, Divine Shield and Taunt. Damage dealt by this minion also heals your hero. This card is... I really like this card. I think it's really good. I mean, initially when I look at it, I think, okay, this card would be perfect for mid-range Paladin. Which no one really plays at the moment, but... mid-range Paladin could make a comeback, I think. Would you play this in an aggressive Paladin deck? I don't think so. You really don't care about... In an aggro Paladin, you don't care about the heal. So it's a 3-mana 2/2 with Divine Shield and Taunt, ignoring the heal effect. I mean, you do get... In aggro Paladin, you do have lots of buffs. Like, you have, like, Blessing of Kings, Keep of Alderman, and this comes after the turn you've played them, so... This is definitely a good card. Definitely a good card. Like, in a mid-range Paladin, this card looks really good. Like, it's stalling, and has potential to heal, and protect you from charge. Yeah, this card is very good. This card is very good. Would you play it in, like, N'Zoth Paladin, or, like, Murloc Paladin? Maybe. It's like a mini Tyrion, right? It's like a mini Tyrion. Yeah, this card's really good. This card's really good. Like, you could even argue that you could just throw this in any Paladin deck. Like, it probably wouldn't fit in an aggro Paladin deck, but even with the buffs, like getting a 6/6 the Divine Shield and Taunt. Like, you play this on turn 3 and then play Blessing of Kings on turn 4, and then you basically have Tyrion. Without the weapon effect. But with a heal. But anyway, I don't think you would play this in aggro Paladin. But any mid-range or control Paladin, I think you would play this card. This card is strong. This card is strong. Small-time Recruit. 3-mana, draw 3 1-cost minions from your deck. So, you can compare this to Divine Favor. So draw cards equal to the amount of until you have as many cards in your hand as your opponent. But I think this is really good in an aggro Paladin deck. Like, you take like an aggro mage, like Tempo Mage or something, you play Arcane Intellect, which is 3 mana, draw 2 cards. So 3 mana, draw 3 cards. Like, it doesn't, the 1 cost minion, the fact that it's only going to be 1 cost minions isn't bad, because your deck is going to be full of 1 cost minions. In an aggro Paladin deck, you're going to be playing Argent Squires, maybe Abusive Sergeants, the 1 mana 2/1 that gives Divine Shield, the new 1 mana card. Like, you're going to be playing a lot of 1-drops, and yeah, I think this card is strong. And I think aggro Paladin could see a comeback, because I think the 1 mana minion is also really strong. I'll move on to that. Mean Street Marshal, I think this is also really good. 1 mana 1/2, Death Rattle if this minion has 2 or more attack, draw a card. So it's going to be pretty easy to make this card have 2 or more attack in Paladin when you have things like Blessing of Might. You're going to play Abusive, you're probably going to play Direwolf, you can play Blessing of Kings, you can play Keep of Uldaman, you might play Argus. Like, you're going to have a lot of cards that buff minions attack. So it's probably going to be fairly easy to get this to have 2 or more attacks. So it's probably going to be fairly easy to get a draw off the card. And even a 1 mana 1/1 draw a card is like ridiculous. So 1 mana 1/2 that could draw a card. I mean, obviously it's not going to draw a card every single time you play it, but I think it's going to be fairly easy to... The 2 health is really nice. The 2 health is really nice. The fact that you can play it on turn 1 and your opponent can't, like, kill it with their Mage, Druid, or Rogue hero power is a big deal. Like, this might even bait... Like, this might even bait out, like, people to, like, Wrath it and stuff like that. Like, I could imagine you playing this on turn 1 and your opponent being, oh, I've got to kill that, I don't want him getting a card. Let's Wrath it, or let's Quick Shot it. Which is great in terms of tempo. Like, you're playing a 1 mana card, and then they're playing a 2 mana card. So not only the Death Rattle effect, but like the threat of it, and the fact your opponent's like, oh, I need to kill this before it gets more attack. I think makes this card really, really good. This card is really good. Like, definitely. Okay, so we've done Grimestream Forum. Getaway Kodo. 1 mana Paladin Secret. When a friendly minion dies, return it to your hand. Okay. It's a fun card. It's a fun card. Like, you can consider it kind of like Redemption, where instead of getting it back on a minion back on 1 health, you're getting it back in your hand. So tempo-wise, it's obviously worse than Redemption, because the Redemption is giving you a minion on the board, whereas this is putting it back in your hand. I mean, this works better with Battlecries, because if he kills a Battlecry minion, you get to play the Battlecry minion again. So like Challenger, for example, you play Challenger, Mysterious Challenger, and then they kill the Mysterious Challenger, and then it goes back to your hand, and you play Mysterious Challenger again. It's pretty strong. But I think what's more likely to happen is that you play Mysterious Challenger, it pulls the Kodo, well, it pulls all your secrets, they attack, it triggers the Noble Sacrifice dies, and you just get the 2/1 minion back in your hand, which is not worth playing this card, I don't think. I mean, it's probably worth playing the card maybe as a one-of in a Secret Paladin deck. Like, there's certain things it could work really cool with. Like, well, anything with Battlecries, basically. But, yeah. It's just the fact that it's not... Like, Secret Paladin is going to be... It's an aggressive deck. And it's not an aggressive card. It's more of a value. Like, it's a value card. I mean, yeah, I guess you could reuse it with things like Doomsayer, where, like, you play Getaway Kodo turn 1, play Doomsayer turn 2. If Doomsayer dies, then you just get another one back anyway, but, yeah. I don't think this card is amazing. I think it's interesting. Maybe in the Secret Paladin you play it as a one-off, because there's certain things it can work really nicely with, but I think the majority of the time, in an aggressive deck, you're going to be getting, like, a 2/1 or something generally pretty weak back to your hand, whereas you'd rather have some, instead of having to Getaway Kodo, you'd rather have something more aggressive. Cool idea, but I can't see it seeing much play. Maybe a one-off in Secret Paladin. Secret Paladin could be a thing, by the way. Like, with all these new 1 mana, with all these new 1 mana cards, Secret Paladin could definitely be a thing again. Like, Secret Paladin could definitely be a thing. Okay, Priest. We've already talked about Kazakus. Dragonfire Potion. This card is insane! 6 mana, deal 5 damage to all minions except dragons. Like, there's just no question about it. Like, if you're playing a dragon deck, this card is insane. You have dragons on the board. It doesn't even touch your dragons, just kills enemy minions. It's like a Flame Strike, but 1 mana cheaper and 1 extra damage. The 1 extra damage is huge. Like, killing things on 5 health, like King Sylph, Thing from Below, Fire Elemental, Violet Teacher, Fandral, Emperor. The 5 damage just opens up so many more minions to actually kill. And even in a non-Dragon Priest deck, just deal 5 damage to all minions except dragons. It's ridiculous. It's crazy strong. Like, you don't even need to be playing a dragon deck. You can be playing a control priest deck where you're relying on clearing the board over and over. And this card is fantastic. So, yeah, I think this card is ridiculously powerful in a lot of priest decks. Yeah. I mean, I have nothing else to say. The card is just very strong. I think this will see a lot of play. A lot of play. Okay. Draconid Operative. 5 and a 5/6. Priest card. It's a dragon. Battlecry. If you're holding a dragon, discover a card in your opponent's deck. Really, really cool card. So, in Dragon Priest at the moment, you're going to be playing Azure Drake and Corruptor on 5 mana. This is way more of like a value card. Like, the value you get from this is crazy strong. Like, you're already getting a 5 and a 5/6, which is decent. And you can discover a card from your opponent's deck. So you can actually get good cards from someone who's not playing Priest. But, well, that's not going to be true anymore, because all the new Priest cards are actually insane. But yeah, it also gives info on what your opponent still has in their deck and doesn't have in their hand, which is another benefit to this card. So, like, you see you get the option of Tyrion. You pick Tyrion and know that they didn't have Tyrion in their hand. Yeah, this card is really good. In a Dragon Priest, a mid-range Dragon Priest or a control Dragon Priest, this is going to be really good for sure. Like, you play this and then you play the Dragonfire Potion the turn after. Oh, Dragon Priest is going to be so strong. Okay, Pintsized Potion. 1 mana. Give all many minions -3 attack this turn only. So, initially, like, you play this with Shadowed Horror, and it's actually crazy good. Like, 5 mana, you can reduce a lot of, like, anything that's on 5 health or below, so anything like a Thing from Below, an Emperor, an Azure Drake, a Teacher, anything with 3, 4, 5 health is going to die to the Pintsized Potion Shadowed Horror combo. Obviously, you have to have the combo, so it's a bit iffy. Like, I think you'd rather just have the Dragonfire Potion, but Pintsized Potion does have other uses. Like, you can use it with Cabal, where you reduce something's attack by 3. You can steal Malygos or Ysera, like, reduce Malygos or Ysera's attack by 3, and then steal it with Cabal, which is crazy good. So, in a deck where you're using, like, Cabal, like, Shadowed Pains, like, you're not only going to have the Shadowed Horror, which you could use it with, you're going to have other options. So, yeah, this is a good card. But, are you really going to see it played with Shadowed Horror? Maybe. Maybe. I mean, if Shaman is still around, like, there's a lot of Shaman minions that it's going to help kill. Like, you're going to kill Thing from Below, you're going to kill Azure Drake, you're going to kill Totem Golem. So that combo could actually be really good. Okay. Yeah, good card. Cabal Talon Priest. 3 mana 3/4. Battlecry, give a friendly minion 3 health. Obviously, what this card is doing is really good. The issue is that normally on turn 3, you're not going to have a minion on the board as Priest. Priest doesn't really have much to do on turn 1 and 2, unless you're playing Dragon Priest. I think you would play this in Dragon Priest because you have Twilight Whelp and Wormrest Agent to play on the first couple of turns. And then you can play Cabal Talon Priest, and that would be really, really good. So this card is, like, really strong. I think I would definitely play this new Dragon Priest. But other than Dragon Priest, it's kind of hard, because, like, more control-y Priest decks. You could also play this in an Inner Fire Priest. Like, I think the Inner Fire Divine Spirit combo is actually underrated. I think Divine Spirit Inner Fire is really good. So I would like to see this in some kind of Inner Fire priest deck for sure. And I think I would see playing. Like, I think Inner Fire priest could actually be a thing. But yeah, I'd also play this in Dragon Priest. Like, it's good to play on... like, you want to play it on curve, ideally. So playing it on turn 3 when you already have ball control. Dragon Priest is... you have a much better chance of having ball control on turn 3 than in any other Priest deck at the moment. So yeah, good card. All the Priest cards look really good. Potion of Madness, 1 mana. Gain control of an enemy minion with 2 or less attack until the end of the turn. Like... it's a situation... like, obviously you're never going to be playing on turn 1. Like, you can imagine you steal Loot Hoarder, trade Loot Hoarder into an enemy minion, steal Acolyte. Like, but probably the more likely scenarios you're going to be using it. It's like, opponent plays turn 1 Tunnel Trog, they play turn 2 Totem Golem, and then you, on turn 2, you steal the Tunnel Trog, trade it into the Totem Golem, so you kill the Tunnel Trog and reduce the Totem Golem's health by 2, which is really powerful on 2 mana. Like, even though it's going to be even though it's cost 1 mana, I think it's a lot more likely you're going to be using it on turn 2. Like, I think we'll see a lot more play on... like, you can combo it with other stuff, obviously, like... because you can use it with, you can use it with, I can't even remember what it's called. Pintsized Potion, where you reduce the minion's attack, and then you steal it, and then trade it into one of the other things. So this could be good in a control deck where you're playing like Wild Pyromancers and Priest of the Feast. So you have lots of spell interaction, and your sole objective is to continuously clear the opponent's board. So I don't think this is gonna be like in every priest deck or anything like that, but definitely has its place in certain archetypes. Okay, Lotus Assassin, 5 and a 5/5. Stealth, whenever this minion kills an enemy, gains stealth. This card's really good. I mean, it's like basically like Stranglethorn Tiger. 5 mana, 5/5 with stealth. But when it kills, it's not a beast, which is a downside. But I mean, you don't care about beast and rogue anyway. But when it kills an enemy minion, it gets stealth. So, which is really powerful because obviously when you trade it into a minion, you're going to be decreasing this minion's health. So you trade it into a minion with like 2, 3, 4 attack. And this is going to turn into like a 5/1 or a 5/2 or a 5/3. So say you trade it into like a Violet Teacher. Opponent plays Violet Teacher on... Opponent plays Violet Teacher. You trade this into the Violet Teacher. You're going to have a 5/2 stealth. Like having... the difference between the 5/2 minion being a 5/2 or a 5/2 with stealth is really, really powerful. Like... low attack, like generally you want your minions that are on low health to have stealth because the stealth is essentially protecting them from removal and from trades and stuff. So you're going to get to make a favorable trade with this, gain stealth, and then you're still going to have a 5/2 minion to trade it into something else. This card is really good. This card is really good. Like, because you get to decide the trade. Like, I mean, there's situations where, like, you might trade it in something with 4 attack, and then it's going to be a 5/1, and then it will die to things like Ravaging Ghoul, etc. But if you're stealthing it, and with on like 2 and 3 health, it's really... that's... ideally, I think that's what you want to be doing. Like, you want to be trading it into something with 2 or 3 attack, and so you end up with a 5/2 or 5/3 stealth. And you get 2 really good trades. Like, the value you can get out of this is really good. Yeah. This card is nice. Nice. I mean, like, would you play it in any of the current rogue lists? Like, I don't think you'd play it in Mali Rogue. I don't think you'd play it in Miracle Rogue. But a more mid-rangey rogue list, for sure. For sure. Talked about Lotus Agent. Counterfeit Coin. So, it's just a coin. It's just a coin, but in Rogue. 0 mana. Gain 1 mana crystal this turn only. So, obviously, Rogue has loads of combos. So, there's loads of stuff. Coin is better in Rogue than in any other class, pretty much. But it's... it's obviously like this has to be played in a super hyper aggressive, like, because the value you're getting is like really like weak. Like you're gonna be emptying your hand really quickly if you're playing a coin in your deck, like 2 coins in your deck. So you're going to want to have lots of card draw. Like in Miracle Rogue, yeah, you play this for sure, right? Because the deck is all about cycling through your deck as quick as possible and finding your combos to kill your opponent. Only in a list with like a lot of card draw will this work. Like Miracle Rogue, yes. Malygos Rogue. Probably. But it's only going to be it's only going to be used in the decks where you have a combo and you want to find the combo as quick as possible, or you want to be extremely aggressive. Like you're going to be emptying your hand so fast. Like especially if you're playing backstabs and preps as well, you're going to have a lot of 0 mana spells. So it's going to be a complete cycle heavy rogue deck for this to work in. But yeah, it would definitely be good in that kind of deck. Like a Miracle Rogue, like this is very good. But like it's not a card you're going to be just chucking in every deck. You're not going to be playing this in every rogue deck just because it's a coin. I think there's specific lists where you're just cycling as fast as possible that it would be best in. Okay. I know a guy. 1 mana, discover a taunt minion. So, I don't think Bolster Warrior is going to become a thing just because of this card. But, I do think this card is pretty good. Like, you compare it to Journey Below, the Rogue Discover a Death Rattle minion. It's similar to that, but it's it's like more reactive, it's defensive, it's going to save you. Whereas a lot of the Death Rattle minions are just play a body, like play a Tomb Pillager or play a Cairn or something, which isn't actually helping you. So like this could be played in like a mid-range warrior list. Like there's loads of like, 'cause warrior has some good taunts. You have Bloodhoof Brave, you have Fierce Monkey. There's also things like you could get like Soggoth, you could get Sunwalker. So there's some good things you can get, and in a mid-range warrior list, this might be playable. Like you're not going to play it in an aggro warrior. Are you going to play it in control warrior? I doubt it. I doubt it. But maybe some kind of mid-range warrior? Possibly. Yeah, possibly. Probably. I think you could play this in mid-range warrior for sure. Like, if you could play 4 Bloodhoof Braves in the deck, would you? I think the answer would be yes. Yeah, so I think it's one of those cards. It's not going to see no play, but it's not going to see a load of play. Like, you'll probably see it every now and then in some mid-rangey warrior list. Finger the Flying Star. 5 mana, 2/4 Murloc with stealth. Whenever this attacks and kills a minion, summon 2 Murlocs from your deck. Well, I mean, if you consider this playing this in anything, can happen. Like anything Paladin. It's essentially card draw. Like, you play this on turn 5, you attack and kill something with it, and you summon the 2 Murlocs onto the board. So, like, you're getting a really big tempo swing next turn. Plus, it's getting the 2 minions out your deck. So, in anything Paladin, I think this card is really, really good. Like, it has the downside of when you use anything, you might get this minion. But I don't think that's too big a deal. Because, like, if you get this minion, like, you're still going to have six other things. So, like, six like, War Leaders and Bluegills. So, yeah, I think this card would be great in anything Paladin. And maybe even like a more mid-rangey Paladin list. Like, the fact that it has stealth, I mean, doesn't guarantee that it's going to get to attack. But it's going to get to trigger its effect a lot of the time. So, really good card. Really good card. Like, it's actually... The more I think about it, the more I think it's actually insane. Like, so you play on turn 5. Next turn you attack, kill something. You pull out, say, a War Leader and a Bluegill. You have the 3/3 War Leader, and then the 4/2 charge Bluegill, because it's buffed from the other thing, is good. This card is really good. Like any kind of Murloc Paladin deck, you'd play this in, right? Like the anything combo, or if you're playing like a more mid-rangey Murloc Paladin, you'd probably play this as well, I think. Yeah, good card. Would this enable Murlocs to be played in any other classes? I'm not sure. I doubt it. I doubt it. I think Paladin will be the dominant Murloc class. Pintsized Pirate, 1 mana charge. 1 mana 1/1 with charge. After you play a pirate, summon this minion from your deck, and it is a pirate. So this card is like nuts. Like you play any early game pirate, and you get a free 1/1 with charge out your deck. So it's great for helping with early board control. So your opponent plays turn 1 Fiery Bat, you play turn 2. You pass turn 1, opponent plays turn 1 Fiery Bat, you play turn 2 Murloc, turn 2 Pirate, and pull the 1/1 out of your deck, trade it into the Fiery Bat, and keep your other Pirate alive. Yeah, so this is great for early board control in Pirate decks. Obviously, if you have it in your hand, it's not that great. Like a 1 mana 1/1 with charge isn't that great. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great. But it's definitely gonna. I mean, if you play the pirate deck, you're playing this card. It's very strong. Because you're not even like you don't even have to have the risk of like if you pull it out your deck, it's just buffing the first pirate you play, right? The first pirate you play is gonna be whatever it is. Like say it's South Sea Deckhand, you play a 1 mana 2/1, and you get this as well. Like it's really good. Really good. Like maybe pirates could even become a thing. Like if we see like maybe one more pirate card, maybe a pirate rogue or pirate warrior could be. I mean, people play pirate warrior already, and pirate warrior at the moment is actually really strong. So this will be really strong in pirate warrior. Could pirate rogue be a thing? I'm not sure. I think it'd need to be maybe one more pirate card, and pirate rogue could potentially become a thing. But yeah, very good card. A lot of these cards that have been released, I think, are very good. Wind Up Burgle bot 6 mana 5/5. Whenever this attacks and survives, draw a card. I don't think this is so good. You can use it with things like charge. So since charge has been nerfed, it's now 1 mana, so you can use it on turn 7. Charge into something, draw a card. You can use it. You could stealth this and then attack with it next turn. But yeah, generally, I think the best use of this card will be with Moonglade Portal. You get it from Moonglade Portal, and you have a 5/5 that attacks. Like, this is a good outcome to get from Moonglade Portal. A 5/5 that when it attacks and survives, draw a card. Like, you could potentially attack with it multiple times. And it's a card that if you give Wind Fury, you could kill multiple things. So maybe you could play in Shaman, but I don't think that will happen. Yeah, I don't think the card will be played in any deck, but it will be a good outcome from Moonglade Portal. Yeah. I mean, unless they release some other card that kind of works well with it. Fell Orc Soul Fiend. 3 mana 3/7 at the start of your turn, deals 2 damage to this minion. Very good in, like, Priest. So, you have a 3 mana 3/7. Trades into really good things, and you can heal it back up. So yeah, this could be really cool in some Priest decks. Like with you'd definitely be playing it in a list where you're playing like Injured Blade Master and Circle of Healing and stuff like that. Priest is gonna have so many options. Like Priest is gonna have so many options. There's gonna be so many different archetypes of Priest, which is definitely a good thing. But yeah, this looks to me like a Priest card. Maybe you could play it in Tempo Warrior because it works with like Battle Rage. It damages itself. This card's gonna be really good in Arena. Like, if you get to trade this into 2 minions, you're happy. So you play a 3 mana 3/7, trades into something they play, deals 2 damage to itself, but it should still be alive. And then you get to trade it into something else. Like, that's really good value. Like, this card is really good. But yeah, I think this might see some play in Priest. Maybe even Inner Fire Priest. Maybe this is the Divine Spirit Inner Fire Priest card, PogChamp. You could definitely use this in a deck with the new 3/4 as well. Like with Cabal Talon Priest, Injured Blade Master, that kind of stuff. That'd be a really cool idea, actually. Definitely give that a go. Okay. Big time back here, 6 mana 1/1, Battlecry summon a 6/6 Ogre. So obviously great value with Bran, but other than that, it's just basically 6 mana for a 6/6 and a 1/1. So 6 mana 7/7 basically. So yeah, I don't think this card's going to see play. One thing to note is that it is comfortably the worst minion to get from Moonglade Portal. So I mentioned earlier that one of the other 6 drops was really good to get from Moonglade Portal. This card is absolutely terrible to get from Moonglade Portal, which is probably the main reason it's actually been released. So yeah, I don't think it's going to see play in any deck. But this, getting Corrupted Seer from Moonglade Portal is already terrible. This is like even worse. Like this is like, ugh. Yeah, you get this from Moonglade Portal and you are not happy at all. Okay. Second rate Bruiser, 5 mana 4/5 with Taunt, costs 2 less if your opponent has at least 3 minions. I think this card's really good. Against things like Zoo, well, any deck that floods the board early on turn 3, they're likely to, like against Zoo, turn 3, they are gonna have 3 minions on board. Like, unless you've played like Doomsayer the turn before and cleared their stuff, in which case you're very happy. But then if you play Doomsayer and it hasn't cleared their stuff, and they have 3 minions on board, 3 or 4 minions on board, a 3 mana 4/5 Taunt is very, very good. I think this card is really good, actually. I think it would only be played in specific decks where you're struggling with dealing with early pressure. Like, maybe this could even be good in Druid. Like, Druid doesn't really have much to do on turn 3. Druid also struggles when behind on board, because Druid doesn't have much good AoE. So a 3 mana 4/5 Taunt sounds pretty good to me. I mean, obviously, in a lot of times, you might have to play it as a 5 mana 4/5 Taunt when you're against decks that aren't flooding the board. But when you're against decks that aren't flooding the board, you know, it's not the end of the world. This would be a tech card to help beat the aggro flood decks. And it's a good tech card to beat these aggro decks that flood the board early. So yeah. Like, it's probably better than Mind Control Tech, because you can play it when they only have 3 minions rather than 4. Plus, it's good like later in the game if, like, the fact that it has Taunt is a big deal. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's better than Mind Control Tech, but in some situations it definitely would be. Okay. Like, you're more likely to get value on turn 3 out of this than Mind Control Tech, because it's... Yeah, obviously, like, your opponent has to have 1 more minion on the board to get Mind Control Tech value. So I think this card is good. Like, I think that this card will see some play. I really like this card. Kookie Chemist. 4 mana 4/4, Battlecry, swap the attack and health of a minion. So, it's like Crazed Alchemist, but it's 2 mana extra for +2/+2 weather stats. I don't think this card is that great, because Crazed Alchemist is kind of a tech card where you're using it purely for its ability of swapping attack and health. Like, I would use Crazed Alchemist over this because of the flexibility of it being 2 mana cheaper, so I can combo with other stuff. Like, unless you're playing it in some kind of confused priest where the whole deck is about swapping attacks and healths, then you can play like Crazed Alchemist and Kookie Chemist and Confused, that kind of thing. But that sounds a bit too wacky. I'll definitely try it, but it sounds a bit too wacky. Yeah, I don't think this card is that great. It's not bad. Like, it's not bad, but it's not amazing. Friendly Bartender, 2 mana 2/3. At the end of your turn, restore 1 health to your hero. This is a really nice card. It's just one of those cards that just looks like nice. It's like, yeah, I look at this card and it doesn't look OP. What deck would I even play it in? Maybe you could play it in Priest. Priest doesn't have many good 2, like, other than Dragon Priest, Priest doesn't have many good 2-drops. Like, you play Wild Pyromancer, but generally you're not playing anything on turn 2 in Priest. Control Priest. Like, maybe this would be played in that, but you probably wouldn't even play it in that. It is a good anti-aggro card. Like, it's a 2 mana 2/3. It's going to restore 1 health to your hero. And against an aggro deck, they are going to feel like they need to kill it, because if they do leave it alive, it could end up restoring you like 3 or 4 health if they leave it alive for a few turns. So it's definitely good against aggro. But the issue with this card is if you ask me what deck this would be played in, I'd be like, I have no idea. But yeah, it's a nice card. It is a nice card. Looks nicely balanced. Okay, finally, from this review, the final card, 1 mana 2/2, Mistress of Mixtures. Death Rattle, restore 4 health to both players. This card is insanely strong. This card is insanely strong. Like, imagine playing this. Like, 1 mana, restore 4 health is very good. The fact it's neutral, like, there's a huge lack of neutral heal in the game at the moment. Like, Reno is the only real good neutral heal, like, to be honest. Like, Farseer is okay. Refreshment Vendor is okay. But this is good. This is good. And the fact that it's a death rattle, like, this could be really cool in, like, a N'Zoth Hunter or N'Zoth Rogue, where they're kind of slower decks for their archetype. And in their archetype, they don't have any heal. This would be really good in those kind of decks. This would be amazing in N'Zoth Hunter and N'Zoth Rogue because of the lack of heal. The fact that it's a death rattle. The fact that you don't care about restoring 4 health to the opponent. You only care about restoring it to yourself. Really, really good. Like, you can compare it to Zombie Chow, but this is good later in the game as well. Like, you play this later in the game. Zombie Chow doesn't do anything. Like, it's got 1 extra health, but this restores you 4 health, which is a massive deal. Like, 4 health is a lot. 4 health is a lot. Like, some people play Refreshment Vendor and Reno Lock purely for the 4 heal. So like having a 1 mana restore 4 health is a huge deal. Obviously it's not instant. Like you have to kill it. But this is a really good card. It's a really good card. Well, I'll call it a day there. And yeah, if any of you guys have any questions, feel free to drop a message in the comments. But overall, I'm very excited about this expansion. There's a lot of cool stuff happening already. And this is only 31 cards. Like, we've still got like 101 cards still to be revealed. So, this is a very exciting expansion. And I'm massively looking forward to it. I think like the priest cards look insane. The paladin cards look insane. A couple of the druid cards look insane. And a couple of the neutral cards look insane. Like the Murloc and the pirate both look insane. This fellow Soul Fiend looks insane. Kazakus looks amazing. In terms of strength and like decision making and good for the game kind of thing. This is a great card. Yeah. Really excited. So yeah, I'll do another review when the next lot of cards are announced. But yeah, catch you later guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Catch you later.